Three of the officers charged in connection with the death of George Floyd. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Sarah Donaldson.
And I'm Nick Veland. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. We begin with breaking news tonight out of Ukraine after Russia launches a full-scale invasion of the country.
Ukraine's health minister is reporting 57 killed and more than 169 wounded so far. You're looking at some of the scenes coming out of the war zone captured by citizens on the ground. Here, Russian helicopters fly over Hostomel, a suburb of the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. Smoke is rising after what appears to be shots fired by the helicopters.
Before the first line
the
of
United
dawn,
States and other countries are reacting by slapping sanctions on Russia. Earlier today, President Biden announced new sanctions designed to, quote, maximize long-term impact on Russia and minimize the impact on the U.S. and its allies, end quote. New sanctions will block 4 Russian banks from the U.S. financial system, freezing their assets. Diplomatic efforts to get...
No one expected the sanctions to prevent anything from happening. It has to show, this is going to take time, and we have to show resolve so he knows what's coming. And so the people of Russia know what he's brought on them. That's what this is all about. This is going to take time. It's not going to occur. He's going to say, oh my God, these sanctions are coming, I'm going to stand down. He's going to test the resolve of the West to see if we stay together, and we will.
And as Western countries impose sanctions, Ukrainian citizens are taking shelter inside subway stations. Thousands of people are using the tunnels, which have served as bomb shelters since World War II.
Really getting very emotional. And I cannot believe it's happening, really. And I just hope that some people in Russia may see this and just stand against the Putin and the war.
Russia citizens are also reacting. A few hours ago, independent monitors say that more than 1,000 people have been detained in anti-war protests around Russia. That's as of Thursday night Moscow time. Independent monitoring group OVD Info reports more than 1,200 protesters were taken into custody in cities. Demonstrations without a permit are illegal in Russia, but individual single-person protests are allowed. The protests come after Russia began an attack on Ukraine. And in cities around the United States today, people are gathering in support of Ukraine, with protesters in New York City, outside the Russian Federation and the United Nations, at the Russian Embassy in Washington, D.C., and in Massachusetts at the State House. Demonstrations are also in the works in cities throughout Ohio, too.
And in Athens, students from Ukraine worry about family at home while they raise awareness outside Baker Center. One graduate student who moved here in January is upset he isn't back with his relatives. Another student who has been here for a year is doing everything she can while in the United States.
Right now, it sucks. I'm useless in what I can do because I can just stand here while people like my mom is hiding from bombs in Kyiv, and this is really scary.
It's really difficult because you understand that there's little you can do, and we are basically trying to do whatever we want, like spread the information, talk to people, so people should know that there's invasion happening. There's war that Russia started on Ukraine.
The Ukrainian students had papers with maps of Ukraine to help increase understanding of where the country is. They also have links and QR codes with resources to donate to and information about how to call local politicians. One student is planning to meet other Ukrainians in Cleveland tonight to protest the Russian invasion.
Yeah, actually the sanctions sucks because they are really weak. It's just not affect Russia at all. We have to do something more, something huge, and everybody's just talking about this huge sanctions, but nobody's doing it. Even now, after Russia openly attacked Ukraine, nobody's doing something throwing out canceling SWIFT for them, or I don't know, or just closing their borders economically.
Evening, I'm forecaster Cole Patterson. Tonight we are going to experience a low of 34 degrees and lots of rain showers, a 100% chance of rain in fact. And tonight we can experience rainfall of over half an inch and up to 3/4 of an inch. So be sure to keep that in mind when going out tonight. Make sure you keep a jacket on you and be careful when driving too. Hydroplaning is a serious issue that may be a problem tonight with the excessive rainfall that we are going to be experiencing tonight and across the region. Speaking of across the region, like I said, we're going to have a 34 low tonight in Athens. Up to the north, we're going to have colder lows, 29 in Columbus, 30 in Newark, and down to the south a little bit warmer, 43 in fact in Ripley. The rain is going to be a common trend across the entire region, so no matter where you are, be sure to keep that in mind when traveling or going outside tonight. Looking at the weekend ahead, we are actually going to have a chance of rain throughout the night and into tomorrow morning. Highs around 40 as we head into the weekend, so thankfully the rain will clear up throughout the day tomorrow and into the weekend. I'll have more about that in my full forecast, but for now, back to the desk.
Coming up after the break, Moderna may be releasing a new vaccine for a specific variant of COVID-19. And the former police officers involved with the death of George Floyd are found guilty. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Italy is without crowds, yet busy as ever. In kitchens and workshops, master artisans carry on age-old traditions.
We use this machine invented by Leonardo da Vinci.
The legacy of prior generations courses through their veins.
My family worked the glass since 1650.
Experience the passion that drives them.
What made me an artist? Love. Love.
Lace up those sneakers and hit the hardwood because Hardwood Heroes is back. Every Sunday night, we are bringing you the best basketball that the Tri-Valley Conference has to offer. Who will sit atop the TVC Ohio and TVC Hawking? Find out when you tune into WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. And throughout the week, follow along on social media for scores, highlights, and more. We're excited to see you back on the courts, and as always, we're reminding you to be heroic.
Ken Burns and his brilliant team at Florentine Films has taken on one of the pillars of American culture, country music.
It's a great Russian novel of a story. You meet layer upon layer of characters, generation upon generation of families.
Ken is a great unifier. It's not just about the music, it is about who we are as Americans.
Please join me, Kathy Mattea, for Ken Burns Country Music.
In America, horses helped forge a new world. And that new world created unique horses. Shaped by land and work, but sustained by their connection to us. Each breed has its own story and legacy. These are American horses.
The Supreme Court of Ohio is calling the Ohio Redistricting Commission to court on charges of contempt for failing to stop gerrymandering and redrawing new district maps. The commission met last night, however, and told the Supreme Court they believe legal maps may be drawn by the end of this week. But Republican House Speaker Bob Cupp and Senate President Matt Huffman say the question of contempt is, quote, inappropriate and should not be applied to individual commission members, but the commission as a whole. Republican commissioners also argued that the court's 10-day time frame is not enough time. Two Democratic commissioners proposed alleged constitutional maps, but Republican members rejected the plans. It's now up to the courts to decide what's next. Previous disagreements with redistricting maps has led to a potential pushback of the May 3rd primary.
If new maps were passed tomorrow or the next day, even if the court very quickly approved those, that 30-day deadline goes long past the requirement to start sending out overseas and military ballots.
The West Virginia Supreme Court is looking for someone to fill their open seat on the bench. Online applications are being accepted until March 14th. A judicial commission is responsible for reviewing applications and recommending candidates to replace Evan Jenkins until an election can be held. The former Supreme Court justice resigned earlier this month to return to practice private law. The governor's office will publish a list of all the applicants. Starting next week, the Athens City School District will be the only district in the county to require masking. Nelsonville York District and Federal Hawkins School District dropped its requirement this week. Districts throughout Ohio have recently switched to optional masking, including Trimble School District and Alexander School District in early February. As of February 10th, Columbus Dispatch reported that masks were optional in 435 Ohio school districts.
Moderna is testing a new kind of COVID-19 booster. It's a bivalent booster which combines both an Omicron-specific vaccine along with the company's original COVID-19 vaccine. The company says there could be data for the booster sometime in March. Pfizer has also been working on an Omicron-specific vaccine and a bivalent shot, though the FDA officials say it's unclear whether an Omicron-specific vaccine will be necessary. More schools and businesses are easing on COVID safety protocols as cases continue to plummet. While some feel it might be too soon, one group thinks that restrictions are not easing enough. Truck drivers across the country say they are making their way to the nation's capital to protest the government's COVID mandates. The Defense Department is planning to respond. Cole Higgins has more.
COVID-19 cases continue to drop across the country this week, falling below 100,000 per day for the first time since early December. Hospitalizations also dropping. Welcome news to everyone trying to get back to normal. For many, that means no more masks.
We're really excited to not have to wear masks outside.
Los Angeles Unified School District dropped their outdoor mask mandate, and across the country in North Carolina, the Charlotte School Board just became the latest to make masking optional in schools there. But as many begin to lift COVID mandates, for some, it's not fast enough. Following the example of the 3-week protest by truckers in Canada, groups of truck drivers from across the U.S. are gearing up to head to Washington as part of a demonstration against government COVID mandates.
You may be wondering why we're doing this, okay? For me personally, it's about our freedoms as Americans.
Some of the convoy members are expected to arrive in or near Washington on March 1st to coincide with President Biden's State of the Union speech. 700 National Guard members will be on standby, and D.C.'s police chief says the city is already in preparation mode.
We're going to plan as best we can to do whatever we can to mitigate it.
This Pennsylvania man organizing a group of truckers from the Northeast says they are simply exercising their rights.
We're just trying to be informative people. It's a peaceful protest. We don't want to be harassed. We're not harassing anybody else.
I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
3 former Minneapolis police officers were found guilty today of violating George Floyd's civil rights. Talateo, J. Alexander Kung, and Thomas Lane were on scene when former officer Derek Chauvin pressed his knee into Floyd's neck for nearly 10 minutes. During this, Kung knelt on Floyd's back, Lane held his legs, and Teo worked to keep bystanders away. The 3 have been convicted of depriving Floyd's right to medical care, and Teo and Lane were also charged with not intervening to stop Chauvin. Last December, Chauvin was convicted of murder in a state court and pled guilty in federal court. Floyd's murder sparked racial injustice protests across the country and globally in 2020. And if you need an exercise to do your household chores, you're in luck. They may also help you avoid the risk of heart disease. That story's still ahead.
Tonight we're going to experience some potentially heavy rainfall, but for the weekend we'll have lots of sunshine. I'll have more about that in my full forecast, but for now, here's stocks of local interest.
Do you feel less happy than just a few years ago? You are not alone. But this show is about happiness. And I'll show you how to use your brain to be 30% happier have more energy, and even a better memory in just 30 days. And that's my mission today.
The United States of America is a country blessed with the most breathtaking scenery in the world. From every national park to every backyard garden. Join us for a grand adventure from sea to shining sea.
She had her own talk variety show in the early days of television, and she has been a hit in every venue through every decade in which she has worked in our business.
Betty White.
Betty White.
Betty White.
Betty White.
Betty White. Betty White, ladies and gentlemen.
PBS, the place I trust to tell my story. Don't miss it.
Lace up those sneakers and hit the hardwood, because Hardwood Heroes is back. Every Sunday night, we are bringing you the best basketball that the Tri-Valley Conference has to offer. Who will sit atop the TVC Ohio and TVC Hawking? Find out when you tune into WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. And throughout the week, follow along on social media for scores, highlights, and more. We're excited to see you back on the courts, and as always, we're reminding you to be heroic.
Welcome back. I'm forecaster Cole Patterson. Tonight we're going to experience a low of 34 and 100% chance of rain. We are going to experience some potentially dangerous rainfall at times, so be sure to be careful when heading outside or even traveling, because like I mentioned earlier, hydroplaning is a serious threat across the region, so be sure to keep that in mind when driving. We could experience over ½ an inch of rain and up to 3/4 of an inch of rain, and winds calm, relatively calm, east 6 miles per hour. Now, looking at hour by hour in the morning, we are going to have a consistent temperature throughout the morning. 8 a.m. it's going to be 36, and that's going to stay consistent throughout the day. Looking at the radar right here for tonight, we are actually, you can see the rain right here. That's going to move to the east into our region. So that's the potentially heavy rainfall I've been talking about. It's been all over the Midwest for the day, and it's heading our way tonight, very soon actually, as we could have rain starting at any hour. In the morning, or tonight, excuse me, we're going to have a temperature of 36 throughout the board. So it's going to be very, very calm temperature-wise. It's just the rain that's going to be the serious threat. We're going to have those consistent temperatures, but 100% chance of rain by 10 p.m., starting off at an 80% at 8 p.m. And across the region, very similar. It's going to be rainy all over the region. 34 is the low in Athens, a little bit colder up to the north, 29 in Columbus, and a lot warmer down to the south, 43 in Ripley in that West Virginia region. 39 is going to be the high tomorrow. That rain is really going to stop in the morning. It's going to become a little more clear but overcast throughout the day. The winds are going to be relatively the same as well, heading in the west direction, 6 to 8 miles per hour. Just an overcast, gloomy day all around. In the morning, it's going to be, once again, consistent temperatures, 36 at 8 a.m., 37 at 10 a.m., and 37 by noon. The rain is going to continue to 8 a.m. and a little bit after, but by 10 a.m. it'll just be mainly overcast, and that's going to be the common trend throughout the entire day and across the region. 39 degrees is the high in Athens tomorrow, but a little bit colder once again to the north, 32 in Columbus, and a little bit warmer down to the south, 43 in Ripley. Looking at our 7-day, we are going to have lots of sunshine this weekend with relatively calm temperatures, 41 on Saturday and 48 is the high on Sunday. It's going to be very sunny throughout the entire week, with Tuesday really being the main day that we experience a little bit of clouds. It's going to be cloudy overnight most of these nights, but we're going to have lots of sunshine during the days. We're going to experience much warmer temperatures early in next week. 55 is going to be the high Tuesday, so that's going to be a very, very nice day. Be sure to take advantage of that day to get outside and enjoy some outdoor activities such as hiking or hammocking around campus. 51 is the high on Wednesday and 48 is the high on Thursday. Also very consistent lows throughout the entire week, mainly sticking around the high 20s and a low of 34 on Tuesday. That's all from me. Back to Nick.
Thanks, Cole. Now here's another reason to get those household chores done today. It could help lower your risk for heart disease. That's according to a new study in the Journal of American Heart Association. In today's Health Minute, a closer look at why small daily movements can have a big impact.
Want to boost your heart health? Running marathons or doing intense workouts aren't the only way. Simple household chores may be all you need.
Our study shows that just about any movement counts.
Steve Nguyen is the lead author of a new study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association. A team of researchers at UC San Diego measured the physical activity of more than 5,000 American women between the ages of 63 and 97 and discovered doing chores like washing dishes, vacuuming, and cooking lowered their heart disease risk.
Any housework that we do, working in the kitchen, gardening, sort of all sorts of daily living activities.
The study found women who spent engaged in what they call daily life movement for at least 4 hours had a 43% lower risk of developing either cardiovascular disease or coronary heart disease, which includes heart attacks. They also had a 30% lower risk of stroke and a 62% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. Researchers say the study could change how healthcare providers and caregivers discuss physical activity with patients.
Our hearts and cardiovascular systems do not particularly distinguish whether we're getting our movement through walking or running or through daily life movement.
Researchers say people of all ages could see a similar benefit.
We have no reason to think that there would not be benefit. We would just like to replicate our findings.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Mary Maloney.
Researchers say the study builds on previous research showing that light physical activity does have health benefits. Now over to Juliana with the sports.
Coming up in sports, the Ohio women's basketball team picked up a loss against Buffalo last night. And the men's basketball team prepares for a big game against Akron tomorrow. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
My Music brings back the sound of the 60s. Join your hosts, Davy Jones and Peter Noon, for this PBS special.
Do you feel less happy than just a few years ago? You are not alone. But this show is about happiness. And I'll show you how to use your brain to be 30% happier, have more energy, and even a better memory in just 30 days. And that's my mission today.
Experience the birth of the cool with American Master Jazzman Miles Davis.
Music had been my total life.
He changed everything just by the way he was playing.
I want to feel the way Miles sounds.
Makes my soul smile. All I ever wanted to do was communicate what I felt through music.
Be cool with the extraordinary Miles Davis on American Masters.
We're all living with too much toxic stress, emotional turmoil, and frustrating disruptions affecting every aspect of our lives. But it doesn't have to be that way. Dr. Deepak Chopra shows us a path filled with inner peace, vibrant energy, and profound joy. Ancient wisdom combined with the latest in scientific research. Please join us for Deepak Chopra, your path to enlightenment.
Good evening, I'm Juliana Colant. Ohio men's basketball plays its final home game tomorrow against Akron. This game is important to both teams leading up to the MAC tournament. The Bobcats want to stay near the top of the MAC standings, and Akron hopes to move up from 5th. The Zips want a different outcome tomorrow after losing to Ohio 69-63 earlier in the season. Bobcat head coach Jeff Bowles says they are focused on the game ahead.
Yeah, I think, if you look at what we have left, we got a tough game, Friday, which is the biggest game on our schedule. It's a huge game for us. We got a really good team coming in here. And, for us, we don't want to look too far ahead, and our guys have done a really good job all year long of, locking in on the next game.
It's also senior night tomorrow. Ben Vanderplas, Jason Carter, John Tenerowitz, and Tommy Schmock will be honored during a pregame ceremony. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. at the Convo. Bobcats senior guard Tommy Schmock is playing his best ball down the stretch of the regular season. The Findlay transfer had a big game against Central Michigan Tuesday night. Ohio held a comfortable lead throughout thanks to Schmock's consistent scoring. He led the Bobcats with 23 points. Schmock says his offensive play keeps teams on their toes while guarding him.
So I would say I'm pretty hard to guard because if someone's staying tight with me, I just keep backing up. So they got to keep being tighter to me. But I think teams will know to stay close to me, but I don't really think it matters. Coming in, I could be a role like this, and just to see it play out, it's been awesome. Love this team, love this atmosphere.
Ohio women's basketball needs to rally if it wants to make the MAC tournament this year. The Bobcats lost to Buffalo 79-65 on the road last night, moving them into 7th in the conference. The Bulls had a strong start in the first quarter with a 14-point lead of 25-11. Buffalo carried the lead throughout the game, with Ohio unable to gain control offensively. Gabby Burris led the Bobcats in scoring with 16 points. Burris and Cece Hooks grabbed 7 rebounds. Ohio's record is now 7th in the MAC with a conference record of 8-8. Keep in mind, only 8 teams make the postseason tournament. The Bobcats have 3 crucial games left in the regular season. Ohio wraps up its home schedule with games against Akron Saturday and Miami Wednesday. The Bobcats then close their season at Kent State next Saturday. Its canceled game with Ball State has not been rescheduled as of right now. Every game is crucial for the Bobcats as there is a lot of teams fighting for seeding in the MAC tournament. The Cleveland Cavaliers are on the road tonight facing the Detroit Pistons. The Cavs come off of a break after hosting the NBA All-Star Game this past weekend. Cleveland looks to redeem itself after losing to Detroit last time they met. The Cavs have 24 games remaining in the regular season. They sit 2.5 games from the top spot in the Eastern Conference, meaning every game counts. Tip-off is scheduled for 7 p.m. at Little Caesars Arena. I'm Juliana Colant, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Sarah. And I'm Juliana, and that's a look at your final weather. Back to you.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Sarah Donaldson.
And for Juliana Colant and Cole Patterson, I'm Nick Phelan. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next with more on the Russia-Ukraine situation. That'll be a national look at what's going on there and the latest updates. And remember, you can find even more of the news locally here in Athens at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support comes from Snyder Strode Jarrett Financial in Athens, providing investment and retirement planning assistance to Southeast Ohio for over 50 years. Snyder Strode Jarrett, not just another financial firm. More information at ssj.finance.